Hey guys, and welcome to RSVLTS Videorama podcast. This is our very first episode. I'm Zeke, this is Ian. Just FYI, I do video production at RSVLTS, and I take care of all the video marketing for our campaigns. And Ian, you want to tell us what you do?
As Zeke said, I'm Ian. I'm production designer. Art director, designer, so I design a lot of the shirts. I help with getting the shirts sent off to, for reviews and all that stuff. But designer, and we love movies.
We love movies. Well, Ian, tell us more about why we finally decided to start the podcast.
Because we don't shut up about movies. Every time I'm in the office, it always turns into this little like, oh man, Zeke, did you see that? Did you see that one? No? Oh, you got to check it out. Or the same, you asking if I've seen it, and then it like, I don't want to say devolves. It evolves into this like, oh, and that shot and this and that. Like we're some sort of, professionals. I mean, you are way more than me. I mean, you do all the video, but like it turns into this organic like love letter to movies. And what we notice is that every time this happens, people start coming in from all around the office, and they're just like, oh yeah, what are you guys? What are you talking about? And it turns into a lot of that. And there literally was a time, Gio, we were talking. It may have been about The Office. I don't know, but I noticed he's like scooting his chair closer and closer. He's like, you guys should just do this. I would listen to this, and it kind of like planted the seed, and we wanted to do this for a while. And then like I think like a crazy person, I chased you out into the parking lot one day as we were leaving work. I was like, we should do this, and then and now we have a sign and a logo and a notebook.
Well, yeah, the short story is that RSVLTS podcast was a long time coming. We just kind of never were able to. We didn't want to just do a generic RSVLTS podcast, and we didn't want to just do it for the sake of doing it as a check mark. So I think finally we kind of have a direction. So we're going to go for it. And this is our first episode, and we're talking about a movie, or a franchise, actually.
Greetings, programs.
Yes, greetings, programs. We're going to talk about Tron, and we recently released collection, which, by the way, designed this shirt.
Ian. Yes, I'm a huge fan. I want to give a shout out to Khalid. He was the art director on the collection, but he knew how big of a fan I was, and every car that I've owned in my life for the past like 15 years, I've had the Tron insignia, the T made of the four squares with the circle around it. And I've had it, and I've had some people come up to me like, I don't know what that is. And some, Tron. So I love these movies, flaws and all. I love them.
Yeah, flaws and all is a good point. I actually have my connection to Tron is when I first came to US, it's the first movie I saw in a theater, Tron Legacy. Not only that, it's my very first movie I saw in 3D, period.
Because I heard it was really good in 3D.
It was great. Well, I almost can't appreciate it because that was my first time seeing a 3D movie. No benchmark. But it's one of the best movies to see in 3D, alongside the Avatars or whatever. That was the era to make movies in 3D. And it was my first experience of a movie theater in the US and my first 3D movie ever.
2010?
Yeah, that's when I came to US, and the movie came around December-ish. Yeah. And I think it was actually my cousin's Christmas gift to me. So she just took me
to the
movies. Yeah, that was
good. The gift of film.
Of film, for me, 100%. So that's fun. But before we talk about Legacy, let's start from the beginning.
Well, yeah, I want to say why I got into Tron.
Well, let's go.
Because I like it.
Yeah.
I actually, Legacy was the first one I had seen. And I hadn't seen the original, and at that point in 2010, I don't know what the streaming world was like, but it wasn't like what it was like today. You couldn't just find something, maybe you could torrent it. It would be a little harder back then, but I watched it thinking, I wonder if I'm going to understand this, and they did make that movie to a point where you didn't really need to understand it, because it was such a long gap. What was it? 1982 was the first one, and then 2010, so it's like 400 years. That's the right math. And I remember just being blown away by it for a lot of reasons, and then going back and watching the first one, and it's so different.
Very different, yeah.
You were
Before basically I came to US, I remember because I was, a movie fanatic, so I would just look up random things, and I was looking up the most expensive movies. And at that point, the source was Wikipedia. Now we know that Wikipedia is not the most reliable source, but back then
That's not true. Everything on there is real.
Okay. And I remember it said that Tron is going to be the most expensive movie. 300 million was the budget. At least, again, Wikipedia was number one. And I was like, what is Tron? And it was coming out. It was like 2009 or something where I was looking at
Oh, you mean Tron Legacy?
Legacy,
Okay.
yes.
It was like,
going to be.
how are you going on Wikipedia in 1982?
No. Around 2009, I was looking up the list of most expensive movies, and Tron was number one, even though it was not out yet. So I was like, what even is that? I never heard of it, never seen it, and I decided to prepare for when the movie comes out.
You did your Marvel homework.
Yes, I did my Marvel homework, and I was just kind of confused. Again, that was before I watched enough movies, or my palette was still, quite narrow. And I was kind of confused, but also intrigued. And then obviously I watched the actual film. I would say that when you said they made it where you don't need to know the original, but I would say yes and no.
It's more rewarding.
It's more rewarding if you've seen it, because surprisingly, they do the soft reboot, which Disney ended up doing later with Force Awakens, and I feel like they apply the same formula that they did with Tron. They applied later on and kind of made this soft reboot a thing. But yes, I agree that you appreciate it more, but still, certain things could be a little confusing. They throw Kevin Flynn's name here and there, and
I mean, when I saw Legacy, I knew that I knew that he was like a big part of the first one. I knew he was like the main deal. I knew that he had something to do with the new one, and they kind of set it up like, in the new one, they're just like, they literally give you like last time on Tron, and then they show you little like TVs, and then they actually do that again in the third one because another 400 years passed between 2 and 3.
100%. All right, let's get a little specific. I got my little notes here. I know you're a little more old school.
It's my handy dandy notebook.
I got my little iPad.
I'm analog.
So Tron 1982, it's very charming. So watching it now, obviously we rewatched all 3 movies preparing for this. And this is my second time seeing Tron, the original Tron. So I saw it back in 2009, and this is my second time watching it. And I have similar feelings. I'm still a little kind of confused.
It bombed.
Yeah,
It bombed, but like...
all of them did.
Yeah. I have a thing about like 80s movies where there's certain ones where when you watch them and you're like, oh, this is happening, and now this is happening, and now this is happening. And 80s and before, movies are just like, oh, the viewer just watches it and they go, I accept that. That happened. I don't fully need an explanation. I understand it and I get it. And now you fast forward to movies today and it's over-explained and overly connected and convoluted. There has to be a happy medium somewhere, but for the original, it was just like, I guess this is what we're doing.
Charming, but it doesn't fully hold up watching it today. Like some other movies of that era, because I know it was very technologically advanced and they did some crazy stuff to make that.
It feels like a portfolio piece more than a fully thought out, grown, whatever movie.
And by the way, guys, if we say anything somewhat negative about the movie, it comes from we love this franchise.
Place of love.
Place of love. We wanted to do well because we'll get to this. I think it'll be very clear.
Movies.
It's kind of like a problem with all 3 movies that it's very much style over substance a little bit.
Like me.
Okay, and me too. And they are very technologically advanced. They're very cool and interesting and innovative, but the department where they lack the most is the story and actually telling the story. They're either a little too simplistic or a little bit underdeveloped. To the characters and the story, the main line, the main plot line, the villains, and a little too many characters maybe. And that's been kind of the problem with all of those films. They want to show off, like you said, it's a big portfolio piece. It's a bunch of guys that know how to do certain thing, but they lack in the story department, which is kind of funny. It's Disney, and it's, those guys, some of the best storytellers, especially in that time, out there. But
I can't recall. I probably should have looked this up because I'm a professional. I don't think the original Tron, and I probably totally wrong. I don't think the original Tron was made for Disney. I think it was being made, and then Disney was the studio that was like, yeah, we'll take a chance on that. I don't think it. I mean, it is their franchise. It's homegrown. It's all that. But I don't think it was like thought of in the halls of Disney in the late 70s, early 80s. I think it was thought of at a production studio somewhere, and then they picked it up.
Okay.
So that could be part of why, but
We can look that up, but that's a good question to ask, actually.
I mean,
yes.
let's face it, there's also plenty of movies made by Disney back then, now, and in the future that are also going to be light on story and heavy on visuals.
Yeah, true. It's interesting how the original Tron also, all three movies are very big on soundtrack. And we'll get to that, obviously. But the original
We could talk about
one-
that the entire show.
The entire show. But the original one, it does have very innovative and one of the pioneers of kind of like synth
It was
music.
a woman, I think.
It might have been the woman. But even though it's very innovative, I do think out of three, it's actually still the most boring.
I
It's
said
not-
I said to you early on, if I could use one word to describe the first movie, what did I say it was?
Quiet.
It's quiet. There's so
Very
much
quiet.
room for air to breathe, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it's just like, are we doing something here?
But imagine if that movie, if Brad Fiedel, the guy who wrote for Terminator and some another big name in the 80s since, or Tangerine Dream, if they wrote soundtrack for Tron, like I feel like it would have elevated because the whole movie, because that's what Daft Punk does in the second movie. They actually elevate the project.
It feels layered and dense.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Jumping, and we'll be doing this a lot. There, in Tron Ares, which I am a fan. If you like those two previous movies, I feel like there's no reason you wouldn't like the third one. They're all different and they're all in their own way. But like, what's really interesting is that, and I wrote these little notes down. How the first one is quiet, the second one is kinetic, and the third one is uncomfortable. And I literally just watched the third one again last night, and it's very intense. But like in the third one, and sorry if you haven't seen it, but it's in the previews and everything. But there's a scene, there's a part where Ares ends up going to this old secluded version of Kevin Flynn's original server, and he's there. And so the whole movie is this like dense synth industrial Nine Inch Nails soundtrack, but they're very aware of that. And when he gets to Kevin Flynn's old grid,
It's quiet again.
it's so quiet, and it actually they nailed the audio vibe of the original. It's so quiet. There's not music and sound playing all the time except for this like low hum that was present in the original.
Yeah. It borders this phenomenon of fan service, right? Which has like been so heavy in the past years. And some people have labeled this as just like fan service and it's unnecessary to do that part. But I actually
To have the original
to have
grid.
the original grid, and it's just showing Jeff Bridges there.
Yeah.
But I think this, by showing this, it kind of explains the rest of the movies why the old one looked the way it looked, because it just hasn't been advanced yet.
Yeah.
It hasn't evolved yet.
I
And
thought
I really love this, because when you go to Legacy and you see this crazy design, of this world, much more interesting than the original.
Yeah.
Just let's be honest, very beautiful, very fascinating place. You're like, oh, okay, they just didn't have the budget, they didn't have the vision, they didn't have the resources
But
to
they
make it
literally
look this
just
way.
have the ability to do it.
But like, out of not talking about the production itself, now this movie explains it just in the world of Tron, it hasn't been advanced yet. There is also evolution inside of
Yeah.
the world. I think that's interesting. They have their own engineers and builders and people, those programs, they keep building the world and evolving this world. So I thought for the sake of that moment with, when they go to the back in time, I think that was great. That
I
was
thought
really
it
fun.
grounded it. It added levity. Like we're going to be talking about all the different types of movies. That fan service, and maybe it's because I have a Tron sticker on my car, but like I thought that fan service was far less punching you in the face than
exactly.
than
That's
like
my point,
than
yes.
a Daredevil Wolverine or Deadpool
Deadpool,
Wolverine. I thought like sure it's not that subtle, but like I thought it worked they weaved the story in a little better.
Yes, I agree with that. So the original movie, I feel like we're kind of criticizing him more than giving it credit to. I think, again, when you said portfolio, that's a good point. Like, it has certain images that are just like, well, this is not it. This is just kind of not very pretty. It's kind of lame. I know it was difficult to achieve, but it's kind of not interesting. But then certain shots are real vistas, and it just looks so pretty. And to this day, for me, that movie has the best transformation from the real world to the digital world, when it's just like a freeze frame and the laser scans Jeff Bridges into like consumable pieces. Yes. That's I love that. That's really pretty because you understand what's happening.
They're taking these pieces and they're putting them here.
In here, exactly. That was just really cool. It's very simple, but it's very visually pleasing, and I love that. That's like my favorite, but better than Legacy. It's just kind of like the whole screen kind of goes dark.
They do the same thing in Ares. They they do this digital pull what is that Scorsese
So that's really my biggest notes on the original. Also, Tron is the only. It's very kind of funny almost, but he's a character in the original one.
He's a program in the first one, and they keep calling these movies Tron, but the second two have nothing to do with him.
Look, this is how you like.
A little bit.
This is my fix for Legacy, which, by the way, is my favorite out of 3.
Okay.
Just FYI.
I think that's my favorite also. You guys get that?
Don't include Clue. Even though I get that it's like he fights against himself. That's kind of the whole thing there, right? It's like Jeff Bridges created, that kind of pseudo child, that looks just like him.
Well, he created a copy of himself because who better to build his perfect dream than him?
Exactly. So I get that meta kind of thing that there's going on with the in terms of the story. But if the movie's called Tron, why don't you just have Tron go corrupt and just make him be the villain, the main villain, Tron? So it still makes sense.
He's like the main villain's sidekick.
Barely. There's no big stress on it. It's not significant enough to call the movie Tron.
Especially
That's my point.
when there's no payoff. Because at the end, when he finally comes to his senses and goes, "Oh crap, I'm gonna help these guys."
Out of nothing, by the way, triggers that change of heart.
I wonder if there was stuff cut out of the movie where it shows slow because all he does is kind of purr like a kitten and tilt his head. I wonder if there was more of a progression during the movie itself that they kind of left on the cutting room floor of him slowly changing.
Yeah, but it's not in the movie. It's not in the movie.
It's
so
not.
it's
And then he changes, and then he turns to blue, and then 400 years pass by, and we never get acknowledgement of what the hell happened to him.
Yeah, so I don't know how to fix that in Ares, but it could have been, might as well, they could have called it Ares Tron Saga. This is how they do it nowadays.
Ares, a Star Wars story.
Exactly. But in part 2, in Legacy, I think that he should have been just the main villain. He went corrupt. Something happened. Basically, exact same thing that happened to Clue happened to Tron, and just commit to it, make him the big
But they
bad
did,
guy.
because there's the scene where Clue, it's a flashback, and Clue confronts Kevin Flynn, and Kevin Flynn goes, "Yeah." He does that. He can, am I still to make the perfect system? Yes. And then he goes, "Okay, well, the perfect system doesn't include you." And so then at that point, it's, I think on the soundtrack, it's, maybe I'm mispronounced, it's like Adiago for Tron, Adiago. I don't really know what that word means, but I listen to that soundtrack a lot. But that's the point where Clue goes after Kevin Flynn, and then his henchmen go after Tron, and he goes, "Go!" and then Kevin runs away. And at that point, that's when Tron could have been changed, which he was, because then he's changed into Rinsler.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's very, again, from a place that I love. They call him Rinsler, and he literally has the fucking Tron logo on his chest. Now, I saw Legacy having not seen Tron, but any real fan, more than me, at that point would have went, Well, yeah, that's Tron.
That's Tron, yeah.
It's Superman. He's got his logo right there on his chest. It's just a little smaller than last time, guys.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
Let's talk about the deep fake. It's one of the first movies that really tried to commit to it 100%.
It sucks.
It sucks. I know. I mean, look.
Then it wasn't great,
No.
but there's an out for it.
It hasn't been done good enough where I'm like, great, let's do that from now on.
The best
it hasn't
time,
been done.
The best time it was done was,
To this
and
day.
I don't know which movie it was because there's a lot of them. There was a Marvel movie where they made Robert Downey Jr. young, and the only there's a whole scene where it's happening and he looks young. The only time it looks, whoa, that's really him, is when the focus shifts to someone in the foreground and you see him in the background and he's
Yeah.
kind of moving. I was like, oh, that looks real when he's out of focus.
But it looks pretty decent when in the beginning when Kevin Flynn plays with his son,
Yeah,
and we see him
clue.
from the back. Yep.
Yeah.
When we see him from the back, he's dark lit,
And they're kind of hiding his
Yeah,
face in silhouette.
and then they just ruin it by showing his face fully.
So I think, and this is not definitive. It works better when it's on the grid, and you're seeing clue with it because you're kind of like, well, it's a video game, so you can give it a little,
100%.
but it's still like, well, your mouth looks weird.
But they're ruining by showing it
In the real world.
In the real world.
Yeah.
That's kind of the issue. It's not the first movie that did it. I was trying to think. So X-Men Last Stand does the deep fake
that
of
never happened.
Xavier.
Is that a movie?
Oh wow. Okay. Wow.
I remember seeing that in the theater once, and I think that was the last time.
My favorite deep fake that happened before that, and I thought, oh, that's interesting, is to this day, it's from Terminator Part 4, Salvation. And that was just purely fan service.
Was that the?
I love that movie, by the way.
Was that the Christian Bale one?
That was Christian
I remember
Bale one.
liking it when I saw it, but I can't remember it.
So Terminator franchise is one of those franchises that just breaks my heart. What happened to it? I think
You're hoping it gets a Predator renaissance.
Yes.
A Predator-style
yes,
renaissance.
Sure, yes. Or give us the war finally, which was supposed to be a new trilogy. At some point, Christian Bale discovers like a factory,
and he
over-
like steps out.
and he steps out, and we see a little bit dark lit. He breaks his face very quickly, so
Yeah.
he goes back to the metal skull. So it happens quite quick. But those few moments, maybe I haven't seen the movie in a while. Maybe it looks like crap, but that was a very satisfying and fan service back then.
I think the best
that's a
one,
good way to do it.
The best one is probably The Rock in The Mummy 2.
Moving on.
I had a little thing here, like a little connective tissue.
All right, let's go.
That I was thinking about when I was watching. I watched the three of them in order, in preparation for this to give myself a refresh. I didn't need a refresh of the second one, but I've seen that one so many times. It's interesting, and I can't quite. There's clearly a connective tissue between all three of these movies, and each one has like a theme. And actually, what I found out is that the first one really doesn't. The first one is, "Hi, I'm Kevin Flynn. I made this. I made this game. It's mine." And then the bad guy goes, "No, you didn't. This is all mine. Ha 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 ha." And then the movie is, go into the computer, beat up computer, and then, oh, it is mine. The end. Like that was it. There's really no. But the second one, they're much more dense, and they're products of their time. They're newer movies, and we feel this need to like cram as much story and twists and turns. But in the second one, Sam has to go back. He's looking for his father. And then when he finally gets into the grid, he realized why his father has been a recluse all these years, because he's afraid that if he shows himself, then Clue will go into the real world and destroy it. So the theme of the second movie is saving humanity. And it's saving humanity from within the grid. If I don't do the thing within the grid, outside of the grid is no more, because Clue will get out and ruin it and do the bad things that bad guys do. The third one is interesting because I had seen complaints about this from people, is that when you go to see a Tron movie, what do you want to see? You want to see the effects and you want to see the grid, whether it's the Dillinger or the NCOM. You want to see the computer world. And the complaints were that a lot of this new one was taking place in the real world, which I have to say, I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. I see the real world every day. It's okay. Let's see the computer world. But I watched the movie, and I did really enjoy it. And that, the basis for the third one is that there's a dude who wants to take over, and, he's got this god of war master control program who is AI, and that he's using that to crush humanity. So where in the second one, humanity has to save the world from AI, from a computer, the third one is an AI actually finding humanity. So it's saving humanity and then finding humanity, and the thing that has to save or has to find it is not man. Man has lost sight of humanity, and it took a robot to go, oh, what are you doing? Like, no, you don't need to do any of that. Look at all this. This is great. Like, you have a whole world here, and you're trying to destroy it for what? For money?
Yeah.
So it took a very stiff Jared Leto, which that's another thing. Like, I love Keanu Reeves, and Keanu Reeves knows his wheelhouse, or at least it appears that he does. From the roles that he picks, sure, everyone makes movies that aren't great all the time, but I like him, and he kind of plays in his wheelhouse. And I think Jared Leto's kind of stiff, childlike, alien, robotic, sometimes performance worked really well for this, notwithstanding all of his personal life, weird cult stuff.
Sure.
But like in this movie, I thought he was perfect for what was needed.
And he produced it too.
That's why it got made. Yeah,
Right.
because he's who knew? Me and Jared Leto. Big Tron fans, and he's like, but part of the deal was that like I'll produce it, but I want to be in the thing. Mm-hmm. So I really liked it. And I thought movies are very convoluted now. I think Legacy is a little guilty of that, where it's like, to do this, you have to do this. To do this, you have to do this. Oh, wait, there's this. Oh, wait, but then there's this. And then there's these characters. And Legacy did that a little bit, trying to cram as many cool characters, programs.
Because they're also trying to set up a trilogy. So that was the initial idea with Legacy. Basically, Disney keep trying to
reboot this
franchise. And this is their third attempt, well, really second attempt to reboot it. And it seems like they're failing because it didn't do well.
I just saw a thing that said like, because they already said like, we're done. And then a thing came out like a day or two ago that like, we're done. It's like, I thought we already were done.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. But that's why you have Cillian Murphy in Legacy as
son.
Dillinger. Yes.
Except he's not in. Now it's his son.
I think it's actually his. That's his son. Yes. That's his. I think Cillian Murphy is a brother of Gillian Anderson's character. So the mom. So he would be his uncle. I think that's what it is.
But in the end, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's kind of the setups I'm talking about. So they introduce a lot. There's a lot of setup, and not everything gets answered. It has its own arc. It works on its own. That's fine. But this is kind of the phenomenon of modern movies. Big movies like this, they all have a little setups for future installments if they happen, and very often they don't.
Which sucks, and I think that's part of like the Marvel problem is that they're not building a singular movie. No. They're building a bigger movie. It's like, well, if you just focus on this one, just focus on this one.
No,
but
it just doesn't happen anymore, and we kind of like have to suck it.
I mean, we're talking about a movie that's like a 40, I'm 43 years old, born in 1982. Tron, a 43-year franchise of movies that they keep trying to, with comic books and video games and cartoons. That, by the way, the Tron, I always forget the name of the cartoon with Elijah Wood.
Yeah, I never watched it.
It was good.
Yeah. Really?
It was very good, and it had Reginald Vell Johnson. It was very good.
That is cool.
They keep trying to like reboot this thing for a new audience that it seems doesn't want it.
Yeah.
Except for like a few of us.
Yeah. So very good analysis on the story, by the way. I agree, can't really add anything. I agree that the first one is overly simplistic. That one, when you said it perfectly when you mentioned it as being a portfolio, it really isn't anything more than that.
I want to talk about, not yet, but I want to talk about the ending. That it's very funny to me.
Okay. The third one, it's kind of like, I agree that the coolest part about Tron movies is the grid, because it's such a unique world.
It's not ours.
It's not ours. And it's so unique. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. It's more unique than, I'm going to say controversial things now, than Middle Earth. Because there's other fantasy movies and franchises that look kind of similar. You see it, you don't know where you are, in Middle Earth or some other one,
It's still sort of relatable.
It's relatable, yes. They're very similar. So obviously there are details that make it different, like the same with Star Wars. Obviously lightsaber, once you see lightsaber, you know it's Star Wars. But if you see just space and a spaceship, you might not know whether that's Star Trek or Star Wars, but there's nothing like Tron. It's the only one. You recognize it from a million things.
The closest thing to it, but it still looks like our world, is the Matrix.
Sure, yes. But it's, kind of close to it.
Because
but
it's a computer program that can be altered if you have the keys, if you know how, but it doesn't look like that. It looks like our world.
Yes. So I agree with that. But we already did that. You watch Legacy to be in that world. Ares does the opposite. It does bring those...
It brings the computer into our world,
which I think is interesting.
Yeah,
I do want to
is,
see it.
for sure.
Because it is our world, yes, but it's our world with that stuff.
It's a heightened...
It's a heightened reality. And you see even the proportions of that big ship. I forget what they call it.
The Recognizer.
The Recognizer, is that what it is? The big one? Yeah. I was trying to see. Yeah, you have one there. Yep. So the Recognizer, you don't realize how big it is. Once you see just floating in the...
It's bigger in Ares than it is... Having just watched them recently, there's that scene where Kevin Flynn in the original Tron hijacks... He builds a Recognizer from garbage, and he's flying in it. And you can tell when he gets out, like, it's a lot smaller. And then it gets bigger in Legacy, because in the original Tron, the cabin could fit like 5-6 people.
Yeah.
And it's like an inhabitable space. In Legacy, it's like 2 guards on the end, and then like a row of like maybe 8 to 10 prisoners, and then it like lowers down. And then in Ares, it's huge. It's so big that one of the feet of it can open up and a giant tank comes out of it. So it's enormous. But that's also a problem, because that gets built by those lasers in Dillinger's lab.
Yeah.
There's no way it could have doesn't matter.
Which, by the way, cool technology. I like. It's almost like laser printing.
It's 3D printing.
It's 3D printing.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
And that was cool because it looks like something.
And they even
that
did
could
it
happen.
when they print Ares or they print anything. It has the, like, when someone prints something on a 3D printer, it has those like things you break off of it, and they emulated that with
That was really cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting, bringing that computer to our world. I enjoyed that. That was really fun. And I like a lot of little human moments between Ares and Kim, right? That's the character's name.
Wow, we should know that.
I think her name is Kim. Greta Lee's character.
Yeah. When they're in the car.
Yes, it reminded me of one of my favorite John Carpenter movies, Starman, with Jeff Bridges. I don't know if you've ever seen Starman.
I have.
It's amazing.
It is. Childlike wonder.
And he's like that because he is alien that's super powerful, just like Ares, got a war, but he's trying to understand humanity and human elements and things, even though he knows everything. He knows everything about everyone in history, but he doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
That's it's like Terminator or Starman. Like those road movies are fascinating. Both Starman and Terminator, they kind of have that. And this movie has it a little bit, and it's really fun and entertaining. And
I like that.
Yeah, that's fun. I like that a lot,
Again, like, people crapped on this movie, and I feel like a lot of people who crapped on it maybe they crapped on it without even seeing it because it's the cool thing to like.
You know what? Here's the thing with Ares. I do think that's it looks less unique than the first two.
I have a deep dive theory on that.
Okay.
Kevin Flynn helped design the original NCOM grid. Mm-hmm. These guys were dreamers. They were doing this for the love and the passion. And in the second Tron, in Tron Legacy, that grid is still the same grid that we saw in the original Tron, just evolved. And who was evolving it? Kevin Flynn. The grid that you see in the third movie, in Ares, of the NCOM grid is beautiful. It's not in it for a long time. We spend more in the Dillinger grid, in the Dillinger infrastructure, or whatever they call it. It definitely has a name, but we'll just call it the Dillinger grid. Ooh, sorry, I spit.
Okay.
The Dillinger grid is much more functional, and it's much more industrial because it's just about getting the job done. Why? Who's building the Dillinger grid? Not Kevin Flynn, not in the spirit of Kevin Flynn and NCOM. Theirs is much more militaristic and utilitarian. It's not about being a utopia and having fun and being interesting. It's about making money and killing people. So their grid represents that. So that's when you look at their, like, and that was another thing, like, why is there separate grids? I thought, like, I'm thinking like Wreck-It Ralph, there's all one big internet, but like, why the hell does, and maybe I'm being nitpicky and weird, why does the Dillinger grid have a recognizer? A recognizer is from the NCOM video games. Why are there NCOM, why is there a Halo Warthog in Super Mario Brothers? Mm-hmm. That's what it was. And because the recognizer is a recognizable object to be like, oh shit, there it is, it's in the movie. But why the hell is there a recognizer in the Dillinger grid? Why is there a, well, there was an homage to the original MCP, the Master Control Program from the original Tron, the way Dillinger had his red face in Tron Ares when he spoke to the Master Control Program, or Ares, which I'm now confusing the two. So there were homages and it was similar, but like, why were they just reproducing things that were their literal competitor? Mm-hmm. There shouldn't have been a recognizer, but it was cool as hell.
From film production perspective, I think Ares lacks a little bit of direction. And I know, looking at the guy who directed it, his name escapes my mind now, but he's kind of gun-for-hire type of director.
So they said, do a Joseph Kosinski movie?
Yes. I think action, it's not as exciting and as dynamic as it is in Legacy. And I think, again, Legacy, Joseph Kosinski, he had a very interesting vision, and the guy comes from like CG world, and he just was able to design animation background. Yeah. There was just like a clear vision to what he wanted, and here that part is a little bit soft. Even, look, I like the music in it. It's good. It's very cool move to get Nine Inch Nails. It's badass. But it feels like do an homage to Daft Punk. That's my analysis of Nine Inch Nails soundtrack in Ares. Because let's be honest, Daft Punk soundtrack in Legacy is one of the best movie soundtracks in movie history. There's no, that's it. That's a fact. That's not even like, I don't think how you can argue against it.
I don't like that we agree on so much.
My favorite track in Ares is when he sings and there's guitars there, when it sounds more like Nine Inch Nails. And I was like, more of that. And I know they're industrial band, you know, they make industrial kind of metal music, so electronics is in their DNA 100%, but still felt more like homage to Daft Punk rather than do your own thing.
I want you to ask me a question. You ready?
All right.
Ian, what sticker is on your car besides Tron? Nine Inch Nails. I've had a Nine Inch Nails sticker on my car since I've owned a car.
Wow.
And I'm 1,000 years old, so I've been driving for a minute, or 1,000 years, or, you know, like 1,000, whatever. So I love Nine Inch Nails. I've seen them a million times in concert. I even got to meet the band, and Trent so cool. and Company as like a gift years ago. Love them. Love them. So when you tell me that, whoa. What you're trying to tell me, Doc, is there's a Tron movie that's coming out, and the last one was awesome and had Daft fucking Punk, and now there's a new one coming out, and it's like mean and gritty, and Nine Inch Nails is doing it. Ticket first day, here I go. And then the album came out, and everyone was losing their minds. And it's okay. The album's okay.
You heard it here, guys.
Don't call it a Nine Inch Nails album when it's mostly just Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
There you go.
It's a good soundtrack for the movie. It's fine. It's not Nine Inch Nails.
The end credit song feels like Nine Inch Nails, and there's one in the middle
with singing.
Where is he like guitars, like slower guitars, like a very like overdrive, like a distorted,
overdone and dry. I got to see them on their the Peel It Back tour, and they played the new song on the tour, and it's awesome. And it's like, yep, that's a Nine Inch Nails song. That album is not a Nine Inch Nails album. So when you bill a new soundtrack from Nine Inch Nails, not Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I know what I'm getting into when I see a soundtrack by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. It's a movie soundtrack. When you bill it as a new album from Nine Inch Nails, it should be an album from Nine Inch Nails. There's only one other album that they have put out that features that little singing, and it's Ghosts, which is all background music that we could use for a theme song because it's royalty free, but it's meant to be that. And that's what this was. And it was great for the movie, but it felt like an impersonation of, hey, make a Tron soundtrack, but don't forget who made the last one. Oh, like I could literally picture studios like, hey man, there's that one aggressive song when you're singing, cut that out. And I was so excited for that to be in the movie, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I couldn't wait for the drums to just kick in, like a proper, drums, not just electronic. So I feel like it never bloomed. The Nine Inch Nails soundtrack never really.
I don't have my wallet. I was gonna turn in my membership card for telling the world that I didn't love this for that reason. I thought the music was great, but I have no desire to go listen to the album now, even though the movie's over, where I still listen to the Tron Legacy soundtrack, the extended one, to this day.
Let me talk a little bit about the Daft Punk album. So before I was working at Roosevelt's, and during my college years when I was studying filmmaking, I worked in Best Buy, and I used to sell TVs and audio equipment. So that was my background. So I had a little playlist of songs that I would play for customers when they would come and check
to show the
equipment, the audio equipment, and it would always start with first two.
D-Rez.
First, it would be Dire Straits' "Money for Nothing," because it has the best build-up.
Okay.
Because once they hear that guitar come in, once they hear the guitar, it's just goosebumps. Like on the good equipment, it's one of the best songs to show, and the rest, which is the resolution.
Deletion.
Oh, I understand. Deletion, yeah, and they use that term from the first movie.
They use it in all three of them.
That track is just it
pops.
Oh my God!
It pops.
Come on, like it's so amazing. And that's the coolest part. And funny enough, Dire Straits does the same thing. It's just like you have like drums without the melody, then just the melody by itself, and then together.
And then talking about it, like it makes me want to get up and do the dance at Castor
and it plays
or Zeus.
And D-Rez plays such a great action scene. When we talk about action scenes, that in the club
at the end of Line Club with Zeus,
and I think we see Daft Punk there.
Yeah, and they're like, electrify the people.
Yeah, that
changed the mood.
That's my little story of D-Rez. So the song, I played it a million times just because of that, even, that I would always show it to people.
I mean, the shirt you're wearing is called The Game Has Changed, which is the name of one of my favorite tracks on that album. When we do, here at Roosevelt's, when we have the designs made, we send it out into the company and say, hey, everyone, come up with names. I swear, every design that had to do with Tron Legacy was either a quote from the movie, but mostly a soundtrack name from, and that it was my fault that we got to put Biodigital Jazzman in the marketing, because there's this famous line, famous like the world knows, and not just me, when Kevin and Sam are on the Solar Sailor, and they're trying to bring back Cora, who's had her arm broken, and they're trying to he's trying to fix her code, and he's explaining what an IO, what the ISOs were, and he's just like, it's biodigital jazz, man, like that.
That is cool.
Who's cooler than Jeff Bridges?
That's another thing with Ares. I know that at the end, sorry, soft spoilers, but he goes to basically look for her. We finally kind of reveal
Which is why I'm so mad we're never going to get a fourth, because I thought the third one was like, this is its own thing. Where the hell is Sam and Cora? And then at the end, I'm like, oh my God.
They dropped the ISO conversation completely. And that's these movies, I wish they were a little more cohesive together. There is, like you said, there is like a tissue, how do you call it? Connective tissue. Sorry, guys. But a little more cohesiveness. Don't drop.
Just because time has passed.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's Cora?
ISOs should be the coolest thing that ever happened because of this. Yeah. Because they were born inside of the grid. That's like a phenomenon that they should be after.
Disease, war, all gone, man.
All gone. Yeah, exactly. And
they were just like,
ISO's just like, oh, that whole conversation is just dropped completely. No one cares.
the writers in the studios went, oh, enough time has passed, no one cares. Are you serious? Do you know who's going to see this movie? The only people who are going to see it are the people who cared about the last one.
And the thing is, like,
Clearly.
again, and again, they're not doing the reboot where it's completely new. Like, there's a lot of things that, like, if people never seen Legacy or the first Tron movie, they would be so confused by the
Like, who the
by
hell's this
Jeff
old-
Bridges.
who's this old dude?
So you're already doing a lot of references to the previous films. Why dropping ISOs completely and just kind of teasing it at the end a little bit? But it's not enough. Like it's anyway.
Somehow-
I miss
somehow-
that.
Bits made it in all three movies, like the yes/no bits made it in all three movies, but ISO is not in the.
Yeah,
gone.
that's confusing to me.
So I do want to talk about one thing that's very
Okay.
funny, and viewers, this is from a place of love. I adore these movies, but the second movie has like high stakes, and like, oh, we got to do the thing, or this is going to happen. The third one, high stakes, we got to do the thing, or it's all going to be over. The first one is, like I said, Kevin Flynn gets fired from Enron. That guy Dillinger, he's going to take credit for my stuff. How do I get back in? They sneak him back in. He gets digitized. He goes into the game grid, realizes that the only way to get out is to defeat the game grid, defeat the master controller. So the whole movie happens. It's the original Tron is not the story. It's the journey. It's how do you get from start to finish. Look at these graphics. It's cool. It's fun. Maybe there's some drama along the way. So the movie ends. They defeat the master controller with the help of Tron and the woman's name I forget, and Dumont and all that, which Dumont is referenced in the second movie and the third movie, weirdly enough. There's a weird, Dumont saves them in the first one, and in the third one, Kim gets flipped off of her Tron light cycle when Ares is chasing her, and she lands in a recycling dumpster labeled Dumont.
Yeah, I remember
so
that,
it's
yeah.
like, oh, he's saving them again. But back to the first one. They're fighting, they play the games, and then he wins. And then at the end of the movie, a dot matrix printer just says, Dillinger Systems, Kevin Flynn created the game on this day, end of line. And he tears it out, and he runs down the stairs. We did it! Yeah! That would be like me, and for you, those who don't know, John Tromatullo, big man, big boss man at Roosevelt's. That would be like me walking into work one day with a sheet of paper that says, Ian Glaubinger created the Roosevelt's on this date, and then I hand it to him, and he goes, rats,
Yeah.
and he leaves because he's fired, and I take over. Like, I understand it was 1982 or whenever the movie. I know it came out in 82. Maybe it's not set in 82, but who couldn't have just? These guys are computer programmers, and they couldn't have just printed that out on their own. Like, I know it appears on Dillinger's screen, but like seriously, he just went through this life and death journey to be rewarded with a piece of paper that says,
They don't want to promote corruption and scams.
yeah, but the only thing that proves that that's the bad guy and I created this video game and they belong to me is a printout that says Kevin Flynn made it. Do you think that Kevin Flynn could have just typed that out on a piece of, like, in a word processing unit, printed it out, and then went to the press and went, look, I made Tron, here it is. And like, again, from a place of love, but like, that's ridiculous. The whole movie is based on, we got the paper!
Yeah. No, it's that kind of suspend of disbelief. You
Yeah.
have to just kind of take it for what it is. Yeah. Just want to mention how amazing the Tron franchise has been kind of honored with so many great actors, including the third one. First of all, Jeff Bridges, just phenomenal actor. Like, I was watching Legacy. Fully commits, and in Legacy particularly, that he's just like incredibly natural.
Ruining
like,
he's almost like the dude in a way.
He is almost like a dude, yes, but in a good way, right?
He's focused.
Focused, yes.
Yeah.
Just such a natural, great actor. Then we get Olivia Wilde, who's amazing.
Super crush.
Yeah.
Super crushing on her.
Yeah, we got Michael Sheen as a Zeus. It's just a lot of these like great iconic performances. I'm not going to talk about Cillian Murphy. Obviously, he's a great actor, but they picked a good guy. If they continued with that, that's a great actor.
Because I know when they were still trying to get a sequel to Tron Legacy off the ground, he was involved.
What's the father? Basically the Dillinger, that actor.
Who played the original Dillinger?
Yeah. What's his name?
Oh, I forget.
But he's, also a big famous actor. Yeah. The new one has obviously Jared Leto, hate or love him, but
Gillian Anderson.
He's great. Gillian Anderson, Evan Peters, who's great. Absolutely, the grandson or yep. He's amazing. He was in the Quicksilver.
Yeah.
He's become this phenomenal actor. Yeah. He was in the Dahmer Show, which I think has kind of like elevated him
with those glasses.
Kind of yeah. He's really, really good.
They brought the chops, but they forgot some story.
And I love Greta Lee also. Like I think
I didn't know her from anything. She was very good.
Past Lives, which is a movie from a couple of years ago. It's a small little indie melodrama. It was my favorite movie of that year. It was, we don't have to hide that there's been a lot of like a cinema drought in the past years. There's not a lot of great films come out. A lot of good movies, but nothing that's like transcends the time. And Past Lives was one of my favorite films, and she was lead in that. And I kind of was like, I'm curious why I don't see her more often. She was in a smaller like TV shows and stuff, and she has range. She can be very comedic, very serious, and in this movie, I think she was great. I just kind of fascinates me the cast that like this is one of those franchises that just gets like some of the best people out there. But anyway, that's kind of all I have to add. Any kind of last thoughts on the movie, on the franchise?
Yeah, I think that, for movies that kind of get poo-pooed on or like, they're not the biggest money makers or people like to, dump on them or whatever, you can't deny the humongous impact, the aesthetics of the original and Legacy. Time will tell on Ares, but although Ares isn't all that different than Legacy, there are still designs, even before we got a whiff of Ares coming out, there are still clothing companies and video games, everything that comes out is you clearly know who the artists are using as reference. I remember, and I'm a big, I love like the Halo franchise. I remember when Halo 4 came out, which is a while ago, so much of the design was so clearly influenced by Tron Legacy at the time, but like this stuff keeps coming, and I constantly see apparel companies doing like unlicensed, like, they'll call it like grid wear. Like you clearly know where it's being influenced, and you can't discount like how much influence these movies have had on the design world, and they are cutting edge. Like when I rewatched Legacy, I've seen it so many times I can like recite it beginning to end. I don't need to watch it, but I was looking at the visuals, and there are some of the scenes where like when after Sam gets lured back onto the grid and they're doing the disc wars, but then they go onto the actual game grid and they're doing the light cycles. The sound design of like when the light cycle goes over like the power-ups and like and like the way it organically forms and moves together, it's so gorgeous. Like I look at that and I'm just like, damn, as a designer, that drives me of like, damn, that is so good. How these guys are able to come up with it. And just one last thing, I remember this when I was rewatching 3 because I had just watched them close together. In the first one, when Flynn escapes the game grid when they're on the Tron cycles, on the light cycles, they shoot, there's a bomb, and like this like crack in the wall comes out, and Tron, Kevin, and then the third guy whose name Ram. Yeah. Ram, they go out and they escape, and then the tanks come after them, whatever. In the third movie, when Ares goes on to Kevin Flynn's old grid, and he's on this grid, and he's like, where do I go? And a bit appears. You're like, it's cool, it's the old bit. And he gives him a light cycle, and he zooms off. He zooms off through the same crack in the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
I saw that, yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I understood that reference.
Yeah.
So,
No, that was very cool.
anything further to add?
No, honestly, you kind of, and you're more familiar with like design world in
Sure.
general. You kind of see what's happening there.
Like, sorry,
Yeah.
to make this shirt, to do a deep dive when I did this design, like, and Khalid had helped me on the design as well. But like, sure, it's got the different discs. There's the split disc from Rinsler. I had more discs on there originally. There was I forget his name, but the assistant to Clue. He has that like weird weird Zorg mask. But his is orange. His is more orange. Clue's is yellow. There were a couple of different discs on there, but I ended up reducing it because it felt like cluttered. But then, if anyone out there in TV land has this shirt, take a minute and really look at the background stuff. I had so much fun. I literally watched the movie and freeze framed it to see like the cool, and it was the same Minority Report effect. Like for years, all anyone wanted to emulate was like the Minority Report screens.
Yeah.
The screens and the visuals that you see, like when they're falling down the elevator in the end of Line Club, after it explodes and they're falling, and Kevin goes on the wall to like stop the elevator. He's like, woo, woo, woo. Like the visuals on that movie that I tried to put into this shirt, it's just like I'm listening to the music and I'm designing. It felt great. Like it influenced me. It like got my juices going, and like that. As an artist, like as anyone, when D-Rez is playing in the car, same thing. Like I'm just like, get you going.
100%. Like there's something happens, in movies, some of the best films ever, there's certain sequences where everything kind of comes together. And it's the visuals, the sound, not just music, but the sound, the visuals.
Sound and music are very,
Yes. And this movie has a lot of those kind of magic moments, like movie magic moments. When he first gets on the cycle in Legacy, for example, right? There's a cheesy line. He says something, "Oh, I can do this," right? And he gets on the cycle.
It's all in the wrist.
Yes, it's all in the wrist. But it's very consistent in its style. And again, Legacy has a very consistent style all throughout. They commit to that slow motion.
Yeah.
Kind of, we see how this becomes a cycle. This little handle becomes a cycle, and then we see all those lines left behind, and
there's
so many, and so they're so pretty
much
because
work.
they're kind of like a glass, almost like a liquid.
I thought about that.
It's just so cool.
In Aries when they're driving around in the real world, and I'm just like, so
Who's
those
gonna
glass
clean that
things
up?
just
Yeah,
who's going to clean this shit up? There's just these glass walls everywhere.
They have to be disappearing because later they fight with the sword.
But
things,
that's
and
only
then
when the Dillinger grid goes down. That's when everything disappears. I do think that eventually, it's like a guy in a video game you kill. Eventually, his body just disappears, probably.
Yeah.
But like for like an hour, like.
But I never questioned it. I don't care.
Yeah,
like it's.
Actually, I'm just like, I'm
yeah.
gonna be fucking late to work, and my boss is gonna kill me because there was a orange glass wall blocking 6th Street.
I just want a piece of that glass home, and I don't want it to go away.
I'd like to think it tastes like candy.
Oh my God, that's a good one. Yeah. All right, that's about it for our first episode. I think. I think that was fun.
Yeah,
You guys let us know.
and we're glad you got.
It's fun for us. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
fun for you, but you gotta let us know.
And we're glad you guys like the Tron collection, especially that jacket. It seems like you guys really like that one. I want one. I'm not wearing one. And,
Yeah.
maybe I'll get one. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, and see you guys next time.
Yeah.